I was asked to do a video about healing the body. And I was also asked to do a video about the integration of the ego and shadow work. So I'm actually going to combine that whole scenario and share with you what my experience is of true healing and how true healing is possible. So I am a classically trained psychotherapist. I loved school. I loved everything about it. And I also felt like in some ways I could run circles around the system. Like it's still the same system. So where's their real healing here, in the sense that my experience was at the time, and actually now I might experience it differently, but my experience was it was all egos pushing around egos. So we would analyze something from our ego to another ego, and when we are in our egos, we often meet egos. So when it comes to true healing, the experiences that have led me to this work have been that actually the body is the subconscious mind. And we often try to change our physical bodies and our subconscious mind with conscious thought and consciously overriding things. And I absolutely believe that yes, we can, once consciousness shines a light on something that is unconscious, it makes itself different. It shifts somehow. And that is really, at the end of the day, the only work that I have to do on the planet is I help people to see something they can't currently see, and then consciousness herself does the rest of the job, which is really fun. So when it comes to self-healing, a lot of people are, and my experience is I've healed myself of many things. If you're interested in it, check out Imperfectly Sane. It's on Amazon. But I've healed myself physically, or something has healed me, I should say. I have been healed because I was willing to be healed. And I think that willing part requires something that is greater than us. So the pushing around of egos is one thing, but to extend beyond that, the ego, and go, okay, I actually can see my body as just this vessel that I'm in for the time being, and I love it, I cherish it, it's amazing to be here, and I'm going to be sad to see it go, but I can see it. I can see that actually I'm, as much as it's in me, I'm in it. But really what's more true is it's in me, and it's holding me here, and I chose to come here. So when we are in that kind of state of awareness about our bodies, the physical body is seen for what it is. And a lot of times, especially if you're watching my page, you're a perfectionist. You're trying to change for the betterment of your ego, not for the betterment of your true self. So we stay small, or we actually achieve for the betterment of feeling better in our own egos, instead of, and this is the work that I see about self-healing and whatnot, it has to come from a space of where we are objectively seeing our lives as what they are, and knowing that we are in that life, but we are also not that life. That life is something that we are literally in, just playing a channel, playing a role. And especially if you've been in the fog most of your life, what I believe true healing is finding your very specific channel that doesn't feel like a role. So a lot of people are trying to fit into a role for the sake of their ego. Like, okay, people like me better when I'm being this thing. I should stay small because of this thing, or I should exceed because of this thing. And in all of this, either withholdings or accomplishments, it's the ego trying to make itself better. So it's almost like if you have a devil in you and you also have an angel in you, it's almost like the devil trying to make an angel out of you. Just sit with that for a second. That will not happen. So in terms of where we want to be in a space of possibility where true healing exists, we really have to just watch that the identity that we've picked up is something that is malleable, can be changed in a second. And the character that we become feels really alive and invigorating when we're actually in our zone, in our character, in our, what I would call just that channel of being who you actually are. But at the end of the day, there's this almost distant recognition that in order for me to heal that thing, which I'm looking at, I have to see it as the divinity in which it actually is, which is so much bigger than it. It's so much bigger than my ailments. It's so much bigger than my life. My true divinity is in control of the thing that I'm trying to change. The problem is I'm trying to change the thing from the thing, right? So when we can connect to our true, and I know a lot of people will go, oh, I do connect to my true divinity, and that might be your ego saying that, or I've practiced, and you know, to some degree we have to stop practicing and start living our practice instead of making it a practice. Like I don't, you know, whatever, I'm not going to get too far distant, but when it comes to shadow work, I'm going to have to go, my baby's crying. When it comes to shadow work though, and integration, and if you don't know what shadow work is, it's simply this. There is everything that is light has a shadow. Everything that reflects light has a shadow. You reflect light, you're going to have a shadow. And what the shadow is made up of is subconscious parts of you that you've rejected. So you will see people outside of yourself and go, oh, I hate that they're like that. I would never be like that, or I could never be like that. Because you either watched somebody be like that and you had a distasteful idea about what that felt like for you. So you were like, I will never be like that. Or you've been taught not to be like that and you actually are like that. So either way, it's something inside of you. So shadow work is integrating those things from the outside that feel like they're always outside of you, that are actually just rejected parts of yourself. So the premise is that you're going to attract things into your life that are going to reflect your shadow. If you don't own your own shadow, your shadow won't own you, basically, by having things that are attracted to you come to you from the outside that are reflecting that, and you'll think it's out there, you'll want to change it out there, you'll focus out there on trying to change the thing instead of recognizing, oh, if I just actually met myself in the middle of this, what feels like a polar opposite, this person is disgusting, I don't like them, something, you know, that feels like very far away from what you would want to be. If you could come closer to that, because what we do is we go, oh, that's gross, I don't like that thing, right? Shadow work is bringing yourself into a position where you can experience yourself as that thing, because we are all of these things. So that is part of being part of this whole one that we are. So shadow work is bringing forth what you've rejected in yourself. And once you do that, you stop being reflected things out there that are in alignment with your shadow, because it's within you now, instead of, you don't need the lesson for it to constantly be out there. And of course, we're always going to have a shadow if we're reflecting light. But the point is, to feel whole, you have to kind of own that. You have to fill in that void of darkness that the shadow creates. And ironically, the way to do that is to, this is a weird thing to say, but it's kind of true, but you have to kind of become the darkness that it truly is, instead of reject that you're like that. You have to accept, like, yes, this is where my mind is. This is where my thoughts are. This is where my feelings are. They're totally in the gutter. I hate them, but I have to integrate that. Like, maybe I'm actually like that thing that I hate outside of myself. And how am I like that thing? So once we can do that from a space of divinity, right, where we're looking at it going, oh, I see where she picked up on all of those things. That makes sense. Like, that program was downloaded in that moment, and that program was downloaded in that moment. It makes perfect sense why that mind, that character, that being, that blueprint of that psyche in that person is exactly the way that they are. And when we can look at it with compassion and go, I accept that this is exactly where she is. Because she chose, at the end of the day, to stay in this situation in which she is exactly where she is, and I'm going to love her entirely for watching that go down. So that might look like, oh, she has an illness. She has this pattern that she'd like to break. She can't keep a relationship to save her life. Whatever it is, when you look at it and you go, well, it makes perfect sense, and project love onto that being, that character, that body from a space of divinity, your insides change. Totally change, because you're seeing a different mirror from the outside. If you become your own mirror from the outside, where you allow your divine being to be the reflector for you, the outside reflection changes also. So it's a really fun exercise. So point is, you can't change the small self from the small self for the small self's sake, okay? You got to get above it so you can see what it is. And that, to me, is ego integration. It's not like we have to integrate our egos in the sense that we have to go, okay, I accept this in a way where we go, I am just this ego and I accept this. No, it's like I am a divine being and I accept my ego. And for me to look at that from this whole being of energy, and here's my little structure of an ego, which literally is a mental structure. It exists in a physical density. It is a blueprint. And I can look at that and I can love that that's just a part of this experience that I've collected, created, chosen, and that in any moment, if I stay in this space and look at it for what it is, I have the capacity, when I love and accept it, to shift it. Because I'm not trying to shift it because it's wrong or bad, which the ego will say, you have to change because of this. You have to get healthy because you know better than to be sick, right? Those are all egoic ways of wanting to heal ourselves. And that's fine. It's totally okay to be there. So at the end of the day, I think most psychotherapy has been missing this real element of absolute existentialism, and being allowed to be out there, because we're just running around egos because we're afraid. Then there's the insurance thing, whatever. It's trying to get people to conform, which is great. We need a society that conforms. Absolutely. We need to conform. But at the cost of an expense that is actually keeping people in scarcity and lack mentality. And it's keeping the old story of what we are as a species alive instead of creating a new story. So, the divine is the only thing that's ever going to heal you. And I think that what that looks like is when we have an opening. We allow, with another being who holds space for us to have an opening to see what's going on. Consciousness herself shifts something on our behalf. It's that simple. Like, there's really not a lot to it. So come from that place. If there's something you're trying to heal, if there's something you don't like about yourself, it's not like I accept it and I'm going to stay being a dick. That's not how it goes. When you accept it from a place of that you can actually accept something, from that place in yourself, where you can actually accept something instead of be like, well, it should be different. I should be different. They should be different. Then everything will change for you. Everything. So that's what we talk about when we talk about acceptance. But I think like a lot of us go, well, I do accept other people, but we don't accept ourselves. So we're getting it all wrong. I hope this made sense. Bye, guys.